Hello, listeners. Welcome to another great podcast session. I'm Satavisa. With the digital revolution, data science and artificial intelligence have become an important part of our lives and society as a whole. In addition, the quickly emerging technologies for processing large scale data and machine learning is creating a wealth of opportunities where automated decision making is becoming a reality.
Today we have with us Mihir Kittur, co-founder and chief commercial officer of Ugam, a Merkle company. Hello Mihir, welcome to Analytics Insight.
Hi Satavisa, it's great to be on this show and very warm New Year to all of the listeners.
Yes, Happy New Year to you too. I want to ask you that what is the importance of AI and data science accessibility in today's world?
I think that's a great question, and as your publication, Analytics Insight, has been playing a very instrumental role in educating everyone on AI. I think if you look at it very simply, in today's context, AI is really a transformational capability that transforms not only companies but also individuals' lives. And it's not that this is something that's a year old or 2 year old. It goes back to the 1950s when the start of or the birth of AI really happened. It's just that over the last 4 or 5 years, we have tremendous acceleration on the growth of data, the types of cloud technologies, the adoption and the use cases that have given it this sort of new life, or should I say understanding of AI as a transformative capability. So we are seeing this applied across organizations, across functions. Today, there probably are so many instances of this that you and me use, right from when we shop online, or when we listen to a song, or when we watch a streaming media, to the ad we are served, or the voice assistants that we use, all great applications of AI that is clearly transformative and helping us do things, whether organizations or people, like never before.
Great, that's great to hear. Now, I would like you to tell me about the company Ugam and how it is unique from others, from its competitors.
Yeah. So Ugam is a is a leading analytics and technology services company. We started way back in 2000, so we are close to 22 years old, and we've seen all the waves of, should I say, right from small data to big data to now machine learning and AI. That said, in 2019, we became part of Merkle, which is a leading global customer experience management firm, which is part of Dentsu, which is one of the top 5 marketing services companies. So in some sense, if you look at it, we have tremendous heritage, and we are born data and have seen various ways. So in terms of how we are different from some of our competitors, first and foremost, I would say is that we are very obsessed about trying to understand the customer problem. There's no value in doing AI, ML, or analytics for the sake of doing it, right? So our folks are very, very interested and work with senior stakeholders across various functions and verticals to understand what is the problem that you're trying to solve. So that, I think, is pretty unique. It's just not throwing mathematicians or programmers to a problem. The second piece is then being able to bring together multidisciplinary team members. It is very difficult to find one person who is, say, consultative, great at problem solving, great at communication and stakeholder management, very good at advanced modeling, very good at DevOps and technology and so on and so forth. But what is unique to us is that we are able to, and we've been doing this for a while, we've been able to bring together multidisciplinary teams to solve that problem. And also, that is not the only thing. The third important differentiator for us is our underlying cognitive computing system, which is called Jarvis, which is a platform of sorts, which allows us to solve these problems repeatably and at scale. So it's trying to give the power of a cognitive system to our analysts so that they can um, solve these problems much faster and much better. So I would primarily say these three, and last but not the least, and I think that's something that's very important, is our culture. I think that's something that's very unique to us, and that probably is manifested in very high retention rates at clients. So we've not lost a single client on account of performance. We have a very high revenue predictive or prediction rate, well over 95%, and we have a very should I say, strong, committed, and loyal set of colleagues. So these four I would kind of call out as key differentiators or things that make us different versus our competitors.
Amazing. I think it will be very helpful for our listeners to learn this information. Um, Now I want to ask you that accessibility of AI and data science, how it is impacting over different kinds of functions that are going on in your company.
Yeah, so I think we are kind of probably have I'm not sure, but probably formulated this word called accessible AI. I hope there are others who've also done the same thing. Now, what's really happening is, in fact, over the last 2 years, there's been a significant um, adoption of digital on account of the pandemic, right? And as a result, you see there's a lot more data, there's higher customer expectations, and so on and so forth, which have, as a result, pushed organizations to try and make sure they are able to serve their customers better, right? So this has further accelerated the use of AI. Now, that said, I still feel that when you look at the adoption of AI, there are various types of companies fall into various buckets. So there are some who are extremely advanced. There are some who are trying to get there. There are some who want to do something but still don't know how to. And then there are many who haven't yet started the journey. So while today AI is really available, okay, you could today, for example, through 10 lines of open source, be able to extract specific objects out of an image, okay. The question is then, why aren't many more companies being able to truly get non-linear results out of AI? Many a times it is okay, everyone's doing AI, so the senior management is pushing people to do AI. Or many a times people are doing AI and getting linear results, or they are not getting the results that they had in mind. So the whole idea about accessible AI that we're trying to say is that there are certain essential, I would say, ingredients that companies like Ugam have, put together and configured, that then enables us or our clients to be able to truly reap the benefits that AI can get. So that's what I mean by accessible AI. So let me take an example. Let's take a case where I have, say, 3 million images, and I need to put these images onto a website, and I want to make sure the right image is in the right category for a minute. So I would use what is called, let's say, a classification algorithm. I could use a conventional AI technique and do this. But what happens is, on one hand, that's one approach. So I'll use a data scientist to do it. The other approach is, oh, I do this manually, it will take me forever. But the smarter approach, and that's what we've tried to do when you talk about accessible AI, is how do you bring the subject matter expertise of the operational team? How do you bring the modeling experience of the data scientist? How do you then model this in a low code, no code environment? How do you give them the tools so that tomorrow even a non data scientist can create these models and validate it? How can you do this on a cloud infrastructure so that this can scale and this can be, should I say, smarter, let's say, transfer learning system, right? So bringing these components, these three components, is what makes, in our opinion, the kind of key essential ingredients for accessible AI. Otherwise, it just remains, in many cases, not giving companies the benefit they're looking for.
Thank you for explaining it so well. I would like to know that what is your opinion on data privacy and how is Ugam dealing with it?
Yeah, I think data privacy is a very wide and, should I say, broad topic. It's a function of what data we are talking about. There are certain types of data which are free and accessible, and that does not identify with an individual. I think there is a lot of opportunities to harvest something like that. And of course, the whole concept of data privacy varies by country to country. Certain countries, the maturity is very different from some others. But as for companies like Ugam, where 95% of our clients are from the US, the remaining 5% are Europe and Australia, so we have no customers in India, we are governed by the high standards that have been set by Europe. Europe took the lead on GDPR, and then you have the California piece on data privacy. So I think data privacy is going to be a very fundamental, should I say, key that we have to safely manage, because that is the trust that the users have put in companies, and unless that is managed effectively through all these regulations, we are not going to be able to see some of these aspects as very sustainable. So, and Ugam adheres to all of these practices and also does play a role in trying to see how we can further this.
That's great. Now, please give us some examples of the challenges that the company has faced and what was your technique for solving them?
So what are the challenges we as a company have faced?
Yes.
And challenges while solving AI problems, is that?
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
All right, okay, great. No, that's helpful. So I think first and foremost, it's really about, as I say, I'll always go back to this, is trying to make sure we are extremely client-centric and trying to make sure we have a very good understanding as to what is the problem we are trying to solve and how is that problem, like meaningful enough to be solved, right? So one of the challenges has been, and we continue to invest in that, is to put together and bring consultative skills, very good client inquiry skills to be truly able to understand what the problem is. We are also have situations where we have to bring in necessary domain experts, right? So there are gaps there where you might not know enough about CPG, or you might not know enough about retail, or you might have gaps in functional knowledge like pricing or marketing or supply chain, right? So these are the types of challenges we would have when it comes to trying to unearth what is the problem and trying to figure out what's the best client-centric solution. The other set, so having understood the problem, well, I think everyone faces the challenges of getting the right data. While there is tremendous amount of data, the quality of data in many cases is suspect. The data is in silos. And that's where we constantly invested in trying to put together the expertise to make sure that we can synthesize this data. I think we might be among the very few companies that is able to aggregate and amalgamate and blend and synthesize open data that is freely available, democratic data, with client transactional data and survey data. So, and it's been a journey, right? It's been several years of constantly tinkering, investing, failing, and learning to be able to then know how do you kind of put this data together at this scale. How do you then toolify as applicable some of the repeatable elements of these algorithms, and how do we then bring this to life into our client environments so that we are plugging it into real decision making, so that we are actually seeing clients get value out of this. Now, while all of this happens, one important thing which is very useful is to make sure that you have a great learning environment, so you're learning from this. So in fact, for the last 4 years, every Thursday we have something called as a learning Thursday in the company, where one or two should I say uh, projects or practices are shared, saying that this is what I learned, so that the whole company can benefit, right? Because at the end of the day, you're trying to bring three things together in some sense. To simplify it in form of a metaphor would be, the heart, the mind, and the soul, right? So the heart is the multidisciplinary team members, right? The hard and the soft skills of hard skills of modeling and programming, and soft skills of consulting and problem solving, stakeholder management. So that's the heart. The mind is the kind of infrastructure that we have to put together, which is cloud enabled, which is supported by our own cognitive computing system like Jarvis. And the soul is really the culture, right? Allowing people to experiment, learning from those experimentations, and making sure that it is a learning over time. So I think a lot of companies will face these challenges. These are some of the challenges we've faced, and I think with them we've grown stronger and been able to add value to our customers.
That's great. I hope in future your company will further improve on this matter. And please tell me that what is your advice for other businesses who wants to expand the AI and data science capabilities within their teams?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. So I think first and foremost depends on the company and the industry. I think while today there is tremendous amount of compulsion or pressure that you need to do AI, um, I have lots of friends in other industries where they have senior management saying that we need to do something in AI. So I think if a company is at that should I say maturity, the first step really is to not be under any sort of panic that you're going to miss any bus here. I think companies should probably begin by investing in trying to better understand what is AI all about, what are the possibilities, what are other companies doing, and then really try to list some possible ideas where they think that AI could uh, help them improve their business. In fact, there are lots of opportunities, especially in automation, service automation, um, in areas like pricing, in marketing, which companies could look for very specific problems, uh, put together some sort of proof of concepts or pilots, either work with in-house teams or external teams, try this out, maybe go through some iterations of learning, share those iterations with others before then broad basing what else they could do with AI. So I think it would my suggestion is always going to be a crawl, walk, run, and do what is relevant to you, and don't get overwhelmed by the hype that you may read outside in mainstream media.
Amazing. And lastly, I want to know what is your future plan for Ugam? What are the endeavors that you are planning to do next?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that. So in fact, we've been seeing tremendous amount of growth. Um, if you look at Ugam's growth since inception, it's been over 40% CAGR. But since 2019, our acceleration has just really been going through the roof. In 2019, I think we were close to about 1,800 to 2,000 people. Right now, as things stand, we are close to 4,000 people. So over the last 2 years, we've almost doubled our people count. So we might be amongst the probably top two, top three pure play analytics companies out of India serving the world. So at close to 4,000 people. The next 2 years plans look extremely, should I say, compelling. We are going to be likely to be in the 8,000 plus people count. So clearly a lot of growth. In fact, last month we went and made over 1,000 offers at engineering campuses and the type. So we are seeing tremendous amount of growth, and this growth is going to be coming across. I would still say primarily North America and Europe. We still are very focused on those markets, and it will be coming across a whole host of additional verticals. So we serve several verticals like retail, CPG, financial services, high tech, manufacturers, distributors, research and consulting firms. We will be looking at adding some more verticals to that, so that will be another dimension. And of course, to drive more actionability, we are seeing a growth in areas like decisioning, data engineering, implementing all of these systems through the likes of GCP, AWS, Salesforce, Adobe, so that the client is able to get this whole end-to-end, should I say, offering that can help them make the data transformation or the business transformation they're looking for. So across, in a nutshell, across several dimensions, continue to double down on the geographies, across verticals, and across our offerings.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mihir. And it's been a pleasure to talking to you. And I hope that in future, Ugam is going to skyrocket its performances further.
Yeah, thank you so much, Satavisa. And once again, it's really commendable what Analytics Insight has been doing in this growing space. And a sincere thank you to all of the listeners of this podcast.